Hi, I'm Mark Lawson, president of ECS Publishing Group, home for E.C. Schirmer. And our guest today is noted composer Fred Gramann. Fred has been in the E.C. Schirmer catalog, I think, since about 1993. And lately, we've had some wonderful new compositions, and we thought it was time to have a visit and let you get to know Fred a little bit better. So Fred has been the director of music at the American Church in Paris since 1976. That's quite a run. So Fred, tell us a little bit about your story about that and how you ended up in Paris.
I would be glad to do that, Mark. It kind of goes back about 5 decades, if you can imagine. I graduated from Syracuse University in 1972 with an organ performance degree. I then married my best friend, Nancy, and we flew off to Paris for what we assumed would be a very romantic 9 months, where I was accepted to study with Marie-Claire Alain, but it was actually the opposite. It was a disastrous year. It was hard to find a place to practice. We had a little tiny studio with no heat. The refrigerator was a little cupboard that opened up on the outside. It was really primitive. And our language skills were really lacking. So it was a really difficult 9 months. We were about ready to give up and come back to the States when my wife, Nancy, chanced upon a full-time job at the 3M company, 3M France. So I was able to continue studying with Marie-Claire and also with Maurice Duruflé. And then in 1976, got the job with the American Church, which will have been here for 45 years in another week. So
That's amazing.
Exciting. It is great place to be.
So you've been with E.C. Schirmer on your choral music for quite a while. And I hope that you enjoy being published by E.C. Schirmer.
It's the highlight of my composing life. I remember the first time I got a demo from the company, and I sat down and listened to it. I thought, oh, this will be nice, and I absolutely cried. It was so beautiful, and all the recordings are just, it makes my composing worthwhile to hear what you do with the music. It is just stunning, and of course, your catalog is so excellent. You have such good taste as far as I'm concerned. So it's a really honor for me.
Thank you. Well, your two newest pieces in the catalog are Walk Humbly with Your God and To Canaan's Land, I'm on My Way. Two really different pieces that show kind of what you do. Did you write these for your choir there, or were they commissions?
To Canaan's Land, I'm on My Way was composed for my choir for a special occasion here at the American Church. And Walk Humbly with Your God was a commission from Madison Avenue Presbyterian Church in New York City. So one of each.
I noticed just a wonderful organ part on Walk Humbly with Your God. Was that a part of the commission? Do you write a fairly substantial organ part?
It actually wasn't. The guidelines were totally open. It could have been a cappella, it could have been with instruments, whatever, but there was a couple of reasons why I decided to have a fairly meaty organ part. One was Andrew Henderson, who's the music director there and is a fantastic organist, and they have a beautiful organ. So I knew that would be welcome there. And also there's not a lot of new anthems that have an accompaniment written precisely for organ. It has to be done on organ and demands a good bit from the organist. So I decided to do that.
Well, at this point, let me just go back to the recordings a minute, because that you mentioned earlier that one of the things that has happened here, obviously during COVID time, is the fact that we've not been able to get recording sessions put together. And so there's a little bit of a difference on these recordings, and I just want to make people aware of it. This is not something that we're going to do permanently, but we have a relationship with Choral Tracks, who makes rehearsal tracks for different choirs. And so the recordings on particularly To Canaan's Land, I'm on My Way, is a little different because of the Choral Tracks folks making that recording for us. So it allows us to have a recording, but it's not our typical choral sound. We're going to get back to that probably in August when we can all get back to singing again. Just wanted to point that out on these pieces. So on To Canaan's Land, I'm on My Way, such a lovely setting of that hymn. And we usually hear that style in a real jaunty way, but you chose to set it differently. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, I would be glad to. If someone looks at my pieces on your website, you'll notice a lot of them are dedicated to Reverend Scott Herr, who was the senior pastor at the American Church from 2008 to 2020. He left last year, and we had a fantastic working relationship. So I dedicated a lot of things to him. And when he was leaving last summer, I wanted to give a special musical gift. So I composed this setting, and the reason I chose that text was that he had accepted a call to a church in New Canaan, Connecticut. So he was on his way to Canaan's land. So, and the melancholy is just the sadness of losing someone that I worked so well with, and that was so respectful of music and so encouraging.
Well, I found it very meaningful too. I sometimes hear these on Jordan Stormy Banks, or these heaven songs that come out of the Sacred Harp tradition in such a rugged way. It's so nice to hear them set in such a lyrical, beautiful way. So wonderful, wonderful job with that. You mentioned about your other pieces. Let me encourage people watching this, if you'd like to see more of Fred's pieces, just go to our website, and particularly go to the composer bios. You'll find Fred's bio there, and you can look at all the wonderful pieces that he's given us over the years. Well, thank you for taking time to visit with us about these, and we wish you the very best of luck there in Paris as you all continue to open up as well.
Thank you so much, Mark. Been a pleasure. Appreciate it.